Chosen one, listen to me with your spirit, because something profound and irreversible ended last night while you were sleeping. You did not feel it happen in your physical body. You did not hear any loud sound in the natural realm, but I decree to you that in the spiritual realm, at exactly 2:47 in the morning, a massive, agonizing season of your life officially closed. It did not close gradually. It did not fade out slowly. It just ended abruptly, exactly like a heavy iron door slamming shut. And the very second that heavy door closed behind you, another one immediately opened in front of you. A door you have never seen before. A door that leads to a completely different trajectory, a different frequency, and a different timeline than the one you have been exhaustingly walking. Chosen one, you woke up this morning on the other side of that monumental doorway without even realizing you had crossed the threshold. Everything you logically thought would continue to operate the exact same way it has been will not. Everything you assumed would stay agonizingly hard will not. Everything you begrudgingly accepted as your permanent normal is no longer your normal. Because last night, while you were deep in sleep, heaven issued a supreme executive order with your specific name written across the top of it. And that sovereign order said, reverse it. Reverse their relentless struggle. Reverse their suffocating lack. Reverse their agonizing delay. Flip their current. Change their direction immediately, and give them exactly 10 days to physically see it manifest in their natural reality. Think deeply about what that magnitude of divine intervention actually means for you. While you were completely unconscious, physically unable to participate, strive, or interfere with the process, God was violently working on your behalf. The Almighty was actively moving through the archives of your destiny. He was permanently closing thick, heavy files that desperately needed to close. He was unilaterally canceling demonic assignments that were engineered against your bloodline. He was revoking the unauthorized access that the enemy had somehow gained to certain vulnerable areas of your finances, your health, and your peace of mind. And simultaneously, in the exact same breath, he was opening brand new glowing files concerning your future. He was activating high-level angelic assignments over your household. He was granting you unprecedented access to heavy resources, strategic relationships, and massive opportunities that were previously locked behind steel vaults. All of this breathtaking spiritual architecture happened while you simply slept in your bed. Why? Because there are some monumental things God simply does not need your fragile human permission for. He just executes them because He is the sovereign God. And He looked at the timeline of your suffering and unilaterally decided that it was finally time. Now, your logical mind might be furiously questioning this revelation. You might be sitting there thinking, if such a massive, earth-shattering shift occurred in my life last night, why did I not physically feel anything shift? Why did I wake up feeling the exact same way I felt yesterday? The answer to that is a profound spiritual law. The absolute biggest shifts in the universe always happen in terrifying silence. Think about the natural earth. Earthquakes are incredibly violent. They make a terrifying amount of noise, they rattle windows, and they shake the ground beneath your feet. But they only cause localized, temporary damage. But continental drift, the massive, unstoppable tectonic movement that actually changes the entire geographical shape of the world, happens so profoundly quietly that you cannot even detect it with your human senses. You do not feel the continents moving beneath you. You only realize it happened when you look back years later and discover that the entire world has permanently moved. That is exactly what happened to you last night. You experienced a continental drift in your destiny. The tectonic plates of your calling violently shifted in the spirit realm, and you are going to look back exactly 10 days from now and realize, in absolute awe, that absolutely everything in your reality moved. So why are you here right now? Why did the Holy Spirit specifically ensure that this exact prophetic message found you today, of all days? Heaven needed you to know what just happened in the dark, so you could cooperate with it in the light. God can shift things in the invisible realm all day long, but if you do not shift how you think, speak, and move, the invisible change cannot become visible reality. It is exactly like someone handing you the keys to a brand new, fully paid-off luxury vehicle, but you stubbornly keep sitting in the driver's seat of your old, broken-down car. The new vehicle legally belongs to you, but you have to physically get out of the old one and step into the new one to actually experience the upgrade. That is exactly what this prophetic message is. This is me walking up to you, handing you the keys and declaring, "Get out of the old vehicle. Your new one is running, the door is wide open, and it is entirely ready for you." Chosen one, let me profoundly define what this divine reversal actually means for your daily existence. For the last agonizing season, perhaps the last year, or even longer than your mind wants to admit, you have felt like you are violently swimming against a massive, unyielding current. Every single step forward you attempted to take required twice as much physical and emotional energy as it logically should have. Every tiny, microscopic win required massive, exhausting effort. I need to validate your spirit right now. You are absolutely not lazy. You are not doing anything wrong, and you are absolutely not lacking in your faith. You are simply swimming upstream against a heavy, demonic current that was specifically designed to wear out your endurance. And swimming upstream is profoundly exhausting. It does not matter how spiritually strong you are, or how determined your mind is. If the invisible current of your environment is relentlessly pushing against your chest, you will eventually burn out. I want you to vividly picture this reality. Imagine you are in the middle of a raging river. The dark, heavy water is aggressively flowing south, and you are desperately trying to swim north. You are a remarkably strong swimmer. You are fiercely determined. You are giving the water absolutely everything you have inside of you. But for every powerful stroke you take forward, the immense weight of the current violently pushes you half a stroke backward. So you are technically making progress, but it is agonizingly slow. It is grinding. It is violently extracting every ounce of joy out of your soul. At the end of the day, you collapse on the shore, look back at the water, and think to yourself, "I worked so incredibly hard today, and I barely moved an inch." That has been your absolute reality. Not because you are fundamentally flawed, but because the spiritual current of your season was vehemently against you. But here is the breathtaking spiritual intelligence you desperately need to understand today. Currents absolutely reverse. If you have ever stood on the edge of the ocean, you intrinsically understand the undeniable law of the tides. Twice a day, millions of gallons of water flow aggressively in one direction. Then, there is a profound moment of stillness where it completely stops. And then, it violently flows in the exact opposite direction. It is the exact same water, the exact same ocean, but it is a completely different, unstoppable force. When the heavy tide is going out, you absolutely cannot fight it. It will drag you under. But when the massive tide reverses and comes rushing in, you do not have to fight it all. The water simply lifts you and effortlessly carries you to the shore. That is exactly what is happening in the invisible realm over your life right now. The heavy tide is turning. The brutal current that has been relentlessly beating against your face is actively reversing. For the next 10 days, you are going to profoundly feel what it is like to have the current completely at your back. Things that required massive, tear-filled effort will suddenly feel suspiciously easy. Heavy iron doors that were jammed permanently shut will swing wide open with a light push. The people who arrogantly ignored you will suddenly pay deep attention to your voice. The elite opportunities you chased will start aggressively chasing you. And here is the part most people completely fail to grasp. When the divine current reverses, it does not merely stop working against you and leave you at a standstill. It actively starts working for you with the exact same violent force it was previously working against you. If the demonic resistance in your life was overwhelmingly strong, the divine assistance is going to be equally overwhelming. If the opposition was incredibly intense, the favor will be equally intense. It is a complete, undeniable flip. Now, you must be asking your spirit, why 10 days? Why is this specific window so prophetically critical? Let me anchor this in the deep intelligence of Scripture. In the kingdom of heaven, the number 10 explicitly represents the absolute completion of divine order. God gave Moses the 10 commandments, not because he simply ran out of ideas, but because 10 perfectly represents divine fullness and complete structural order. There were exactly 10 devastating plagues in Egypt, because it mathematically took 10 to completely break the back of the oppressor and finalize the divine judgment. And when the prophet Daniel dropped to his knees and prayed for a massive breakthrough, it took exactly 10 days for the heavenly answer to completely shatter through the heavy demonic resistance in the atmosphere. So when I decree 10 days over your life, I'm absolutely not being random. I'm strictly following a highly established, unbreakable biblical pattern. 10 days is the exact completion cycle required for your divine reversal to transition from a heavenly decree into a fully manifested physical reality. And here is the massive revelation that most believers entirely miss. Reversal absolutely does not mean things just get a little bit better. It does not mean a slight gradual improvement in your agonizing circumstances. Reversal means the exact, literal opposite of what was happening violently starts happening. If you were constantly losing, you suddenly start aggressively winning. If you were being constantly overlooked and silenced, you start being sought out and amplified. If you were painfully sliding backwards, you instantly start going forwards at double the speed. It is not a polite improvement. It is a sudden, aggressive flip, exactly like a light switch going from pitch black to blindingly bright. That is a divine reversal. The current that fought you is now the exact same current that will propel you into your destiny. Chosen one, let me specifically name exactly what is being violently reversed in your life at this very moment. I call these the 3 prophetic flips, and every single one of them is going to undeniably manifest in your physical reality over the next 10 days. The first massive reversal is the name flip. This is the profound moment when how the world perceives you suddenly and miraculously changes. For years, you have been carrying a heavy, suffocating label. Perhaps people around you secretly see you as the struggling one. They view you as the one who is always in need, the one who is constantly trying so hard but never quite making it. That label has been sitting on your shoulders like a soaked coat, and you have been wearing it for so agonizingly long that you almost forgot it is not who you are. It is merely what broken people projected onto your spirit. Think about how intensely frustrating that label has been. You walk into a room, and you can physically feel people looking at you through that distorted lens. They see you as someone who desperately needs help, not as a powerful vessel who has massive value to offer. They constantly look at your painful past. They are blind to your prophetic potential. And no matter how fiercely you tried to change their perception, the label stubbornly stuck. You probably even started to believe the lie yourself, thinking maybe this is your permanent role in this world. But I decree to you right now, in the next 10 days, that heavy coat is violently coming off, and a glorious new name is being placed upon you by the Almighty. People are going to suddenly start calling you blessed, highly favored, and undeniably successful. The most beautiful part is that you are not going to have to exhaust yourself trying to convince a single person. Your actual physical countenance is going to change. The terrifying authority with which you carry yourself is going to drastically shift. Someone might even walk up to you and say, "Did something incredible just happen to you? You look completely different." That is the name flip actively manifesting. The second massive reversal is the circle flip. This is when the people occupying the space around you sovereignly change. This does not happen because you angrily cut everyone off or desperately go searching for new friends. It happens because divine reversal effortlessly rearranges your relationships. The people who were constantly draining your spirit will suddenly begin to distance themselves. This will not happen in a toxic explosion. They will simply drift away, and you will wake up realizing you absolutely do not miss their heavy energy. Simultaneously, entirely new people are going to miraculously show up on your path. People who are flawlessly aligned with where heaven is taking you, not where you have been. People who actually add heavy value to your life instead of constantly taking from your reserves. You are going to look around your life in 10 days and stand in awe, wondering when your entire circle upgraded. I must be completely clear. The circle flip is absolutely not about you becoming arrogant. It is about your relationships naturally aligning with the massive weight of your new season. Some people were genuinely called to your past season to help you survive the wilderness, but they are not assigned to your promised land. If you attempt to drag them into a heavy season they are not anointed for, you will both end up broken. So, when people begin to naturally drift, let them drift. Do not chase them. Trust that the Almighty is aggressively rearranging your relationships for your ultimate protection. The third and most breathtaking reversal is the momentum flip. This is the absolute biggest one. For the last grueling season, you actually had momentum, but it was aggressive, negative momentum. Things were constantly sliding backwards or fiercely stuck in place. You were sweating blood for your dreams, but seeing absolutely no results that matched your massive effort. That demonic reality is entirely demoralizing. It makes you sit on the floor and weep, asking, "Why am I even trying?" That heavy thought is the direct result of negative momentum pushing against your chest, strategically designed by hell to make you quit. But I decree today that momentum can violently flip. And when it flips with terrifying speed. Suddenly, the exact same effort that was producing nothing starts miraculously producing absolutely everything. Suddenly, projects you have agonized over for months start bearing massive fruit in a matter of days. What felt mathematically impossible starts feeling completely inevitable. That is the momentum flip. It is the most disorienting reversal of them all, because your human mind will struggle to believe how incredibly fast things move once the divine momentum flips in your favor. You will ask, why did this not happen 3 years ago? Because the current was against you. But now, the heavy current of heaven is pushing at your back, and absolutely everything accelerates. All three flips, the name flip, the circle flip, and the momentum flip, are colliding over your life over these next 10 days. And, chosen one, I am absolutely not just sitting here hoping this happens for you. I am prophetically declaring that it is already in heavy motion. The executive decree officially went out from the throne room. Now, it is just a matter of the invisible glory violently manifesting into your visible reality. Chosen one, here is where your active participation becomes absolutely critical. You have a profound role in this transition. There is a sacred, non-negotiable protocol you must follow to fully cooperate with what heaven is doing right now. Because if you continue to think, speak, and act as if the old, heavy current is still violently pushing against you, you'll completely miss the manifestation of the reversal. You absolutely have to adjust your spiritual posture. Here is the strict protocol. It is incredibly simple, but I decree to you that it is absolutely non-negotiable. For the next 10 consecutive days, you are going to execute 2 specific actions. Morning and evening, every single day, with absolutely 0 exceptions. In the morning, within the very first 30 minutes of waking up, before you dare check your phone, before you absorb the chaos of the news, and before you officially step into the demands of your day, you are going to speak 3 heavy declarations out loud. And I mean physically out loud, not quietly in your head. Your physical voice has massive atmospheric power. Your first declaration is, "The current has reversed, and I am moving with the flow." Your second declaration is, "My name is changing, and people see me differently." Your third declaration is, "I am in a brand new season, and the old rules absolutely do not apply anymore." Those are 3 simple sentences. It will take you exactly 20 seconds. That is your non-negotiable morning protocol. Then, in the evening, right before you go to sleep, you must do a spiritual review. You will physically write down or speak out loud exactly one thing that happened that day that felt like a divine reversal. Even if it is incredibly small, even if your logical mind tries to tell you it is insignificant, you must acknowledge one tangible sign that the current is changing. It could be a surprisingly peaceful conversation, unexpected provision, a sudden lifting of heavy anxiety, or a small door finally opening. You acknowledge it, you violently thank God for it, and you go to sleep fully expecting even more tomorrow. Morning declarations, evening review, 10 days. If you execute that protocol, your awareness will rapidly accelerate the manifestation, because whatever you focus your spirit upon exponentially expands. But, chosen one, I must issue a severe prophetic warning. The enemy absolutely sees this massive reversal taking place in the spirit realm, and he is terrified. He is going to strategically launch 4 major counterattacks designed specifically to derail you before day 10 ever arrives. I'm exposing his playbook right now, so you are heavily prepared.
Attack number 1 is sudden, paralyzing discouragement. Right around day 3 or 4, you are going to experience a heavy, suffocating moment where you feel like absolutely nothing is working, and this entire protocol is pointless. That heavy feeling will ambush you out of nowhere. It is a calculated, demonic illusion designed to make you completely quit before the visible reversal fully manifests. When that heavy wave hits your chest, do not trust it. It is a toxic lie. Keep doing the protocol. Attack number 2 is manufactured drama. Something chaotic and entirely unexpected will happen, specifically engineered to consume all of your attention and drain your emotional energy. A sudden conflict, a petty crisis, or a random problem will erupt. It will feel incredibly urgent, but I decree to you that it is merely a strategic distraction. Handle the situation if you absolutely must, but do not let it derail your sacred protocol. Speak your 3 declarations even if you have to shout them in the middle of the chaos. Do not let the enemy steal your focus. Attack number 3 is the false reversal. You will unexpectedly receive a small, positive breakthrough, and the immediate temptation will be to think, okay, I got what I desperately needed. I can stop doing the protocol now. Do not dare stop. That small victory is merely the trailer. It is the absolute preview of the glory that is coming. The massive, undeniable harvest comes at the very end of the 10 days. You must stubbornly finish the entire cycle. Attack number 4 is the heavy isolation attack. You are going to suddenly feel agonizingly alone. The enemy will whisper that absolutely nobody understands what you are experiencing, that you are doing this entirely by yourself and that you look foolish because it is not working fast enough. That heavy, isolating feeling is specifically designed to make you collapse on day 7 or 8, right on the absolute edge of your massive breakthrough.
Do not agree with that demonic whisper. Violently push through the illusion. You are absolutely not alone. High-level angels have been permanently assigned to your household, and they are working aggressive overtime in the invisible realm during these exact 10 days. Do not surrender your ground when the victory is already secured. Chosen one, let me ground this massive prophetic revelation in a powerful, undeniable testimony. I need to tell you about David. That is not his real name, but his story is absolutely 100% true. Exactly 8 months ago, David was sitting alone in his car in a dark, concrete parking garage, actively enduring what he described as the absolute worst panic attack of his entire life. He was completely drowning in heavy debt. His once promising business was rapidly failing. He had just walked out of an appointment where his doctor looked him in the eye and bluntly told him his blood pressure was dangerously high, and if he did not make major, immediate life changes, he was rapidly heading for a massive heart attack. And chosen one, he was only 39 years old. David felt like the entire weight of the world was violently collapsing on his chest all at once. Desperate to distract his racing mind, he opened his phone and stumbled upon a prophetic video specifically talking about this exact divine reversal. Let me give you the heavy context of exactly what David was battling. He had courageously started a small consulting business 3 years prior. The first year was incredibly promising. The second year was steady and okay, but by the third year, the bottom entirely fell out. Loyal clients suddenly stopped renewing their contracts. Fresh leads completely dried up in the desert of his season. David found himself trapped, desperately paying for expensive office space, heavy software subscriptions, and high-end equipment he had confidently invested in when the waters were flowing. He was forced to aggressively use high-interest credit cards just to cover his basic, everyday living expenses. His suffocating debt had violently climbed to $40,000, and every single month, the bleeding got exponentially worse. On top of that heavy financial crushing, his marriage was severely strained. His wife deeply loved and supported him, but she was terrified. They had 2 young children to feed. The heavy bills were relentlessly piling up on the kitchen counter, and David could physically see the quiet panic in her eyes every single time the mail carrier arrived. He felt like an absolute, catastrophic failure. He felt like he had completely let his family down, and the crushing, silent stress was literally killing his physical body. The doctor's terrifying warning about his blood pressure was the absolute final straw breaking his spirit. David sat in that dark parking garage thinking, I absolutely cannot do this anymore. I have zero idea how to fix this broken reality. I am completely out of earthly options. His very first cynical instinct was to immediately swipe past the video about divine reversal. His exhausted mind screamed, I do not need cheap motivational content right now. I need a literal financial miracle to survive the week. But the Holy Spirit gently arrested his scrolling finger. He sat and listened to the 10-day protocol, the morning declarations, and the evening review. His highly analytical, logical brain immediately violently fought the instruction, arguing, talking out loud to an empty room is absolutely not going to magically fix my failing business, heal my blood pressure, or instantly wipe out $40,000 of suffocating debt. But another, much deeper part of his spirit gently whispered, you have aggressively tried absolutely everything else. You have worked yourself to the bone. You have hustled in the flesh. You have stressed yourself into a literal medical crisis. What if you just violently surrender and try this? So David made the agonizing choice to start. On day 1, he woke up early and felt incredibly foolish speaking prophetic declarations to an empty living room. His wife was still asleep, so he was quietly whispering so she would not hear him, thinking, "I am a grown man playing make-believe in the dark." But he fiercely did it anyway. He spoke the 3 sentences. He declared the current had reversed, his name was changing, and he was in a new season. And then he walked into his heavy day, trying his best not to focus on how ridiculous his flesh felt. Day 2 was exactly the same. He still felt incredibly strange. He saw absolutely zero visible change in his bank account, but he stubbornly committed to finishing the cycle he had started. Then, day 3 violently arrived. David was sitting at his desk, staring blankly at his computer screen, completely paralyzed by financial anxiety. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was a number he did not recognize, but a heavy prompting in his spirit commanded him to answer it. It was a massive potential client he had aggressively pitched to 4 agonizing months ago, who had gone completely, unapologetically silent. David had entirely assumed they rejected him and went with a competitor. But the voice on the other end of the line casually said, "Hey, David, I am so incredibly sorry it took so long to get back to you. We had to navigate a massive maze for budget approval, and it took forever. But we are fully ready to move forward right now if you are still available. We would like to wire the deposit and get started next week." David physically had to grip his desk to keep from collapsing. He had pitched that massive project right when his entire life was starting to fall apart. The wrong people exit your life with 0 drama, and your entire ecosystem is divinely rearranged. I decree the momentum flip is permanently activated. What was agonizingly sliding backwards now aggressively slides forward. What required massive effort now requires a remarkably light touch. I completely bind sudden discouragement, manufactured drama, false reversal, and the suffocating spirit of isolation. The divine reversal is heavily sealed, and absolutely nothing in hell can abort it. I declare, within 48 hours, you will see a tangible sign. Within 5 days, an undeniable shift. And within exactly 10 days, you will hold undeniable physical proof that absolutely everything changed. Your glorious comeback permanently erases your painful setback. It is eternally finished. Now, chosen one, answer me out loud in your room. Are you fully ready to cooperate with this massive reversal? Say yes out loud right now. Heaven just permanently recorded that yes. You are officially locked in. I need you to immediately seal this monumental shift. Hit that like button right now to permanently lock your agreement with heaven's verdict. Your like is your amen. Next, go directly into the comments and violently type these 3 words to officially open your hands to the blessing. I receive reversal. Type it with absolute authority. Finally, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications, because you absolutely need to stay anchored to this exact frequency for the next 10 days as your life completely flips. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Feel the massive shift in the atmosphere. Now open them. It is done. The heavy current has completely reversed. Go with the flow.